You're listening to Stream, the podcast that tells you what streaming on platform for subscription, rent, or buy. I'm going to tell you movies coming out streaming March 2nd through the 5th. We'll start off with Vanguard. And by the way, these first ones are on the 2nd. Vanguard's got a 29% on Tomato Meter and a 50% audience score. Members of a covert security company try to protect an accountant from the world's deadliest mercenary organization. It's rated PG-13 for sequences of strong violence, prolonged gun battles, and some language. It is a mystery and thriller action, directed by Stanley Tong, produced by Jackson Pat, Barbie Tung, Eddie Wong, and Paolin Zhao. It is written by Stanley Tong. It's 1 hour and 48 minutes long. Some of the cast and crew: Zhu Xingting as Shindao, Zhu Rowan as Farida, Mu Quimiya as Mi Ya, Ai Lun as Zhang Kaxuan, Yang Yang as Lei Xingyu, and Jackie Chan as Tang Huating. And this one is available for rent on FlixFling, or you can rent or buy it on Redbox, Amazon Video, Google Play, YouTube, Fandango Now, Vudu, Microsoft Store, and DirecTV. The World to Come, 73% on Tomato Meter, 61% audience score. Abigail, a farmer's wife, and her new neighbor, Tally, find themselves irrevocably drawn to each other. A grieving Abigail tends to her withdrawn husband, Dyer, as a free spirit Tally bristles at the jealous control of her husband, Benny. When together, their intimacy begins to fill a void in each other's lives they never knew existed. It's rated R for some sexuality and nudity. It's a romance, gay and lesbian drama. Directed by Mona Fastvoid. Produced by Casey Affleck, Marguerite Balau, David Hinojosa, Pamela Koffler, and Whitaker Later. Written by Ron Hansen and Jim Shepard. It is 1 hour and 38 minutes long by Charades, Panasper Films, Ingenious Media, Yellow Bear Films, Arcia Production, Sailor Bear, Sony Pictures Worldwide Acquisitions, Killer Films, Hyper Films, MYRA Entertainment, and Sea Change Media. Some of the cast and crew: Alchim Chabanu as Widow Weldon's son, Karina Ziela Garazim as Nellie, Christopher Abbott as Finney, Casey Affleck as Dyer, Vanessa Kirby as Tally, and Catherine Waterston as Abigail. And this one is available for rent on the Microsoft Store, or you can rent or buy it on Amazon Video, Fandango Now, Google Play, YouTube, Vudu, Redbox, and DirecTV. And this is the last one that is coming out on March the 2nd, called Sophie Jones. 100% on Tomato Meter, 77% on audience score. Stunned by the untimely death of her mother and struggling with the myriad challenges of teendom, Sophie tries everything she can to feel something again while holding herself together in this sensitive, acutely realized, and utterly relatable coming-of-age story. It's a drama, directed by Jesse Barr, produced by Jessica Barr, Jesse Barr, Joe Denon, and Lindsay Guerrero. Written by Jessica Barr and Jesse Barr. It's 1 hour and 25 minutes long by The Sounding Board. Some of the cast and crew: Jonah Kersey as Sam, Natalie Shershow as Quinn, Sam Cameraman as Kate, Chase Offerl as Tony, Skylar Verity as Kevin, and Jessica Barr as Sophie Jones. And this one is available for rent from DirecTV, or you can rent or buy it from Amazon Video, Google Play, YouTube, Fandango Now, Vudu, and Microsoft Store. Alright, then we got one that comes out on March the 3rd called Moxie. 67% on Tomato Meter, 71% audience score. Vivian, a seemingly shy 16-year-old, has always preferred to keep her head down and fly under the radar. But when the arrival of a new student forces her to examine the unchecked behavior of her fellow students running rampant at her high school, Vivian realizes she's fed up. Inspired by her mother's rebellious past, Vivian anonymously publishes an underground zine called Moxie to expose bias and wrongdoing in her high school, and it unexpectedly sparks a movement. Now at the center of a revolution, Vivian begins to forge new friendships with other young women and allies, reaching across the divide of cliques and clubs as they learn to navigate the highs and lows of high school together. Rated PG-13 for thematic elements, sexual material, strong language, and some teen drinking. It's a comedy drama directed by Amy Poehler, produced by Kim Lessing, Amy Poehler, and Morgan Sackett, written by Tamara Chesna. It's 1 hour and 51 minutes long by Paper Kite Productions. Some of the cast and crew: Kevin Dorff as Casey, Alicia Pascualpina as Lucy, Patrick Schwarzenegger as Mitchell, Josephine Langford as Emma, Lauren Tsai as Claudia, and Hadley Robinson as Vivian. And this one is streaming on Netflix. Alright, this next one is the only one streaming on March the 4th, or coming out streaming on March 4th. It's called the SpongeBob Movie, Sponge on the Run. 68% on Tomato Meter, 56% on the audience score. SpongeBob SquarePants, his best friend Patrick, and the Bikini Bottom Gang star in their most epic adventure movie yet. When SpongeBob's beloved pet snail Gary goes missing, a path of clues leads SpongeBob and Patrick to the powerful King Poison, who has Gary held captive in the lost city of Atlantic City. On their mission to save Gary, SpongeBob and his pals team up for a heroic and hilarious journey where they discover nothing is stronger than the power of friendship. Rated PG for rude humor, mild language, some thematic elements. It's an animation adventure comedy kids and family, directed by Tim Hill, produced by Ryan Harris, written by Tim Hill. It's 1 hour and 31 minutes long by Netflix, United Plankton Pictures, Paramount Animation, Media Rights Capital, Nickelodeon Movies, and Nickelodeon Animation Studios. Some of the cast and crew: Carolyn Lawrence as the voice of Sandy, Bill Fagerback as the voice of Patrick, Roger Bumpus as the voice of Squidward, Clancy Brown as the voice of Mr. Krabs, Awkwafina is the voice of Otto, and Tom Kenny is the voice of SpongeBob, Gary, and a French narrator. And this one is streaming on Paramount Plus, or you can rent it on DirecTV, Redbox, Microsoft Store, Vudu, Fandango Now, YouTube, Google Play, and Amazon Video. It says rent, but these prices look like it's to buy, because it's $20 on $19.99 on all of these, so I highly doubt they're for rent. Alright, now we'll move on to the movies coming out on March the 5th. The Devil Below. Bad ratings. It's got a 0% on the Tomato Meter. Woo! 20% on the audience score. There's an abandoned place nestled deep in the Appalachian country where underground coal mines have been ablaze for decades. When a team of researchers try to find out how the fire started, they soon discover something more startling than the mystery that sent them there. They're not alone. It's a mystery and thriller horror, directed by Bradley Parker, produced by Alejandro de Leon, Diego Halavas, Julio Halavas, and Andres Rozin, written by Stefan Jaworski and Eric Scherbarth. It's produced by 1INMM Productions. Some of the cast and crew: Shanaza Ook as Sean, William Mark McCullough as Dale, Nathan Phillips as Kane, Jonathan Sadowski as Terry, Will Patton as Shutman, and Adon Canto as Darren. And this one is available for rent or buy on Amazon Video, Google Play, YouTube, Fandango Now, Vudu, Microsoft Store, and DirecTV. The Affair. 12% on Tomato Meter, no audience score. In 1930s Czechoslovakia, newlyweds Victor and Lysel Landar are filled with optimism and happiness in their new home. But all too soon, extramarital temptations bring out their darkest secrets and desires. As Lysel turns to her sensual friend Hannah for the passion she lacks in her marriage, Nazi troops entered the country, threatening the Landauers' lives and the burning desire between the two women. It is a gay and lesbian drama. It is directed by Julius Sevcek, produced by Rudolph Beyerman, written by Andrew Shaw. It's 1 hour and 44 minutes long. Some of the cast and crew: Tabitha Campbell as America at 8 years, Olga Plonjar-Bersikova as Linka, Petra Bokova as Neighbor, Hannah Hallstrom as Lysel, Claes Bang as Victor, and Carice Van Houten as Hannah. In this one, you can rent or buy it on Fandango Now, Vudu, and Prime Video. And now, next one's called Crisis. 40% on Tomato Meter, 78% audience score. A drug trafficker arranges a multi-cartel fentanyl smuggling operation. An architect recovering from an oxycodone addiction tracks down the truth behind her son's disappearance. A university professor battles unexpected revelations about his employer, a pharmaceutical company bringing a new, unaddictive painkiller to market. Set against the backdrop of the opioid epidemic, their stories collide in this dramatic thriller. It's rated R for violence, language throughout, and drug content. It's a drama, mystery, and thriller. Directed by Nicholas Jarecki. Produced by Cassian Elves. Nicholas Jarecki. Written by Nicholas Jarecki. Is 1 hour and 59 minutes long. Some of the cast and crew: Luke Evans as Bill Simmons, Michelle Rodriguez as Supervisor Garrett, Greg Kinnear as Dean Geoff Talbot, Evangeline Lilly as Claire Raymond, Armie Hammer as Jake Kahane, and Gary Oldman as Dr. Tyrone Brower. And this one is available for rent from DirecTV, or you can rent or buy it for Amazon Video, Vudu, Microsoft Store, Fandango Now, and Redbox. Or you could also buy it from Google Play and YouTube. Alright, Dreamcatcher. 40% on Tomato Meter, 100% on the audience score. Dylan, known to his fans as DJ Dreamcatcher, is on the brink of global stardom. Everything changes the night of Cataclysm, an underground music festival where two estranged sisters and their friends meet Dylan. After a drug-fueled gruesome event, things begin to spiral into a 48-hour whirlwind of violence and mayhem. It's a horror, mystery, and thriller. It is directed by Jacob Johnston, produced by Christopher Zvedjetic, Brandon Michael Veda, and Crystal Veda, written by Jacob Johnston. It's 1 hour and 49 minutes long by Quarzo Studios. Some of the cast and crew: Ambrose Cooper as Brecken, Olivia Sui as Ray, Blade Kern III as Hunter, Travis Burns as Dylan, Zachary Gordon as Jake, and Nikki Koss as Pierce. And this one is available for rent from DirecTV, or you can rent or buy it from Amazon Video, Vudu, and Redbox, or you can buy it from Google Play and YouTube. Coming to America, with the number 2 in the middle, Coming to America. This is a sequel to the original Coming to America with a T.O. Set in the lush and royal country of Zamunda, newly crowned King Akeem and his trusted confidant Simi embark on an all-new hilarious adventure that has them traversing the globe from their great African nation to the borough of Queens, New York, where it all began. Rated PG-13 for crude and sexual content, language, and drug content. It's a comedy, directed by Craig Brewer, produced by Kevin Meisher and Eddie Murphy, written by Kenya Barris, Barry W. Blostein, and David Sheffield. It is 1 hour and 49 minutes long. Some of the cast and crew: Kiki Lane as Mika, Tracy Morgan as Uncle Reem, Leslie Jones as Mary Johnson, Jermaine Fowler as Lavelle Johnson, Arsenio Hall as Simi, Morris, Reverend Brown, and Baba, and Eddie Murphy as Prince Akeem, Clarence, Saul, and Randy Watson. And this one is streaming on Prime Video. Sometime other than now. 57% on Tomato Meter, no audience score. A man falls for the manager of a motel while trying to reconnect with his estranged daughter. It's a drama romance, directed by Dylan McCormick, produced by Stan Erdrich, Jackie Filer, Michael Gooden, and Christopher Walters. Written by Dylan McCormick. It's 1 hour and 30 minutes long by Riverbend Pictures. Some of the cast and crew: David Aaron Baker as Tom, Kara Ricketts as Anita, Amy Hargreaves as Maureen, Trace Kelly Dunn as Audrey, Kate Walsh as Kate, and Donnell Logue as Sam. And this one, you can rent it from DirecTV, or you can rent or buy it from Amazon Video, Google Play, YouTube, Vudu, Microsoft Store, and Fandango Now. Land. 70% on Tomato Meter, 84% on the audience score. The poignant story of one woman's search for meaning in a vast and harsh American wilderness. Eddie, in the aftermath of an unfathomable event, finds herself unable to stay connected to the world she once knew, and in the face of that uncertainty, retreats to the magnificent but unforgiving wilds of the Rockies. After a local hunter brings her back from the brink of death, she must find a way to live again. Rated PG-13 for thematic content, partial nudity, and brief strong language. It's a drama, directed by Robin Wright, produced by Aileen Stewart, Laura Kennedy, Leah Halser, and Peter Seraph. Written by Jesse Chatham and Aaron Dignam. It is 1 hour and 29 minutes long by Cinetic Media, Big Beach Films, and Nomadic Pictures. Some of the cast and crew: Finley Wajtak Hissong as Drew, Brad Leland as Colt, Warren Christie as Adam, Kim Dickens as Emma, Damian Bichir as Miguel, and Robin Wright as Eddie. And this was for rent only on Amazon Video, Google Play, YouTube, Fandango Now, Vudu, Microsoft Store, Redbox, and DirecTV. And all these are $19.99 also. I guess it's a brand new. I guess that's why they're for rent for $19.99. Sorry, I'm still learning. So, yeah. Alright, Son. S-O-N. 72% on the Tomato Meter, 50% audience score. After a mysterious group of individuals breaks into Laura's home and attempts to steal her 8-year-old son, David, the two of them flee town in search of safety. But soon after the failed kidnapping, David becomes extremely ill, suffering from increasingly sporadic psychosis and convulsions. Following her maternal instincts to save him, Laura commits unspeakable acts to keep him alive, but soon she must decide how far she is willing to go to save her son. It is a horror, mystery, and thriller, directed by Ivan Cavalla, produced by Renee Bastien, Louise Tesne, and Marie Naughton. Written by Ivan Cavalla. It's 1 hour and 38 minutes long by Belladonna Pictures, Park Films, and Elastic Film. Some of the cast and crew: Juanita Walmsley as ICU nurse, Christine Nielsen as Mrs. Nagel, Rocco Sisto as Dr. Badley, Luke David Blum as David, Emil Hirsch as Paul, and Andy Matichak as Laura. And this one, you can rent it from DirecTV, or you can rent or buy it from Amazon Video, Google Play, YouTube, Fandango Now, Vudu, Microsoft Store, and Redbox. Boss Level. 73% on Tomato Meter, 79% audience score. Trapped in a time loop that constantly repeats the day of his murder, former Special Forces agent Roy Pulver uncovers clues about a secret government project that could unlock the mystery behind his untimely death. In a race against the clock, Pulver must hunt down Colonel Venter, the powerful head of the government program, while outrunning skilled, ruthless assassins determined to keep him from the truth in order to break out of the loop, save his family, and live once again for tomorrow. It's a mystery and thriller, action, sci-fi, directed by Joe Carnahan, produced by Joe Carnahan, Frank Grillo, Randall Emmett, written by Joe Carnahan, Chris Borey, and Eddie Borey. It's 1 hour and 34 minutes long by Emmett Burla, Oasis Films. Some of the cast and crew: Will Sasso as Brett, Ken Jeong as Chef Jake, Annabelle Wallace as Alice, Mel Gibson as Colonel Clive Venter, Naomi Watts as Gemma Wells, and Frank Grillo as Roy Pulver. And this one is streaming on Hulu. Pixie. 77% on Tomato Meter, 43% audience score. Pixie Hardy sets out to avenge her mother's death and attempts a heist that will give her the means to leave her small town life behind. When the plan goes horribly wrong, she's forced to team up with a pair of misfits who are clearly in over their heads. On the run from a criminal gang of priests and nuns, the trio tries to scheme and swindle anyone they come across. It's rated R for violence, drug content, some sexual references, and language. It's a mystery and thriller, comedy, crime, directed by Barnaby Thompson, produced by Barnaby Thompson, James Clayton, written by Preston Thompson. It's 1 hour and 33 minutes long by Fragile Films and Confit Productions. Some of the cast and crew: Ned Donaghy as Seamus, Colm Meaney as Dermot O'Brien, Daryl McCormick as Harlan McKenna, Bill Hardy as Frank McCullen, Alec Baldwin as Father Hector McGrath, and Olivia Cook as Pixie. And this one, you can rent or buy it on Amazon Video, Google Play, YouTube, Fandango Now, Vudu, Microsoft Store, Redbox, and DirecTV. My Salinger Year. 78% on Tomato Meter, 72% audience score. New York in the 90s, after leaving graduate school to pursue her dream of becoming a writer, Joanna gets hired as an assistant to Margaret, the stoic and old-fashioned literary agent of J.D. Salinger. Fluctuating between poverty and glamour, she spends her days in a plush, wood-paneled office where dictaphones and typewriters still reign, and agent stows off after 3 martini lunches, and her nights in a sinkless Brooklyn apartment with her socialist boyfriend. Joanna's main task is processing Salinger's voluminous fan mail, but as she reads the heart-wrenching letters from around the world, she becomes reluctant to send the agency's impersonal standard letter and impulsively begins personalizing the responses. The results are both humorous and moving, as Joanna, while using the great writer's voice, begins to discover her own. It's rated R for language and some sexual references. It's a drama directed by Philip Filardio, Produced by Luke Denny and Kim McGraw. Written by Philip Philadelphia. It is 1 hour 41 minutes long by Parallel Film Productions Ltd. Some of the cast and crew: Brian F. O'Byrne as Hugh, Colm Feore as Daniel, Cian Kerslick as Jenny, Douglas Booth as Dawn, Sigourney Weaver as Margaret, and Margaret Qualley as Joanna. And this one is for rent only on Amazon Video, Google Play, YouTube, Vudu, Microsoft Store, and DirecTV. Raya and the Last Dragon. 94% on Tomato Meter, 85% on the audience score. Long ago in the fantasy world of Kumandra, humans and dragons lived together in harmony. But when sinister monsters known as the Drun threatened the land, the dragons sacrificed themselves to save humanity. Now, 500 years later, those same monsters have returned, and it's up to a lone warrior, Raya, to track down the last dragon in order to finally stop the Druin for good. However, along her journey, she'll learn that it'll take more than dragon magic to save the world. It's going to take trust as well. It's rated PG for some violence, action, thematic elements. It's a fantasy animation, kids and family adventure. Directed by Don Hall, Carlos Lopez Estrada. Produced by Osnat Schurer, Peter Del Vecchio. Written by Kwai Nguyen and Adele Lim. It's 1 hour and 48 minutes long by Walt Disney Pictures and Walt Disney Animation Studios. Some of the cast and crew: Benedict Wong as the voice of Tong, Danielle Day Kim as the voice of Benja, Gemma Chan as the voice of the Mary, Isaac Wang as the voice of Baun, Aquafina as the voice of Sisu, and Kelly Marie Tran as the voice of Raya. And you can buy this one from Disney Plus. Stray, 95% on Tomato Meter, no audience score. This movie explores what it means to live as being without status or security, following three strays as they embark on inconspicuous journeys through Turkish society. Zayton, fiercely independent, embarks on adventures through the city at night. Nazar, nurturing and protective, easily befriends the humans around her, while Kartal, a shy puppy living on the outskirts of a construction site, finds companions in the security guards who care for her. The strays' desperate lives intersect when they each form intimate bonds with a group of young Syrians with whom they share the streets. Now, this is a documentary directed by Elizabeth Lowe, produced by Elizabeth Lowe and Shane Boris, written by Elizabeth Lowe. It's 1 hour, 13 minutes long. And this one is available for rent on Amazon Video, Redbox, and DirecTV. Alright, that's it. Those are the movies coming out streaming March 2nd through the 5th. Have fun watching the movies. This show is brought to you by Heartland Production Entertainment. If you'd like to help to make the show better, go to patreon.com/heartlandpae.